One of the worst things about sailing in inland waterways is power lines. Even when the official height says that you'll clear underneath them, there are still heart-stopping moments as you line up on the highest part and commit to your course. When the wind is howling at better than 30 knots, once committed, you have no choice but to keep going and hope that the figures are right.
Hi, I'm Jackie. CathayOz is on her last leg to the Gold Coast and to her date at the Boatworks.
We have a lot of work to be done. CathayOz is to get a hard top to cover in the bridge area. This will make our passage making a completely new experience, as we'll be able to operate the boat from the comfort of a totally covered space, instead of always being exposed to the elements. There'll be a price to pay for this, as it will increase the windage on the boat by a lot, and that has consequences when we have to go against wind and tide. But overall, we think it'll be worth it. Whilst we're in covering mode, the cockpit will also have covers fitted to make an all-weather space there as well.
We will also be getting a lot more solar. Currently, CathayOz has 600 watts, which is not enough for our current needs. We will be doubling our refrigeration as well, so the actual power will pick up the power that we need for that. The new solar will total 1,400 watts, and that is a pretty decent amount of power from the sun. Also, on the list of the things to do are the installation of new navigation equipment, new radar, new AIS, and some new electric toilets. We will have some new power cabling down to part of the boat that will make life easier, and a totally new pieces of equipment called forward-looking sonar.
Of course, CathayOz will also have her bottom cleaned and a new coat of anti-fouling paint put on. And there are some repairs needed to the keels and rudders from unplanned excursions we've had onto reefs and rocks.
Lastly, the engines, generator, and the sail drives have to be serviced. There is other stuff as well, and altogether there is a ton of stuff to do. We have a budget 3 weeks, but already it looks like being longer.
Making our way down the Gold Coast Broadwater, we find ourselves once again in that mad mix of craziness that this place seems to thrive on. I'm not sure where else people do water skiing in narrow navigation channels, but here, well, it's just part of the course.
We anchor opposite the Boatworks on the night before our scheduled haul out and wait to take our turn.
Once we get the call, we have to move quickly. This place operates up to 4 ramps, constantly hauling boats in and out of the water. They even have special catamaran machines that take the boat out of the water and change angle as they climb the ramp so that the cat stays level.
This is a nervous time for any boat owner, and we are reassured that these guys know what they are doing. The boat inches out of the water, and we start to get a look at her bottom for the first time, as we were not present for the out-of-water survey when we bought the boat.
When they have CathayOz on level ground, I take a look at the keels and rudders, see how much damage was done in our couple of encounters with rock and reef. There is a deep gouge in the port rudder, but all else doesn't seem too bad. Happily, it can all be repaired with fiberglassing. The next step is the pressure wash. This is not the home gurney pressure wash. This is the stand aside or get drilled pressure wash. They get about 95% of the fouling off during this process, which only takes about 10 minutes, so it's not bad.
After the cleanup, CathayOz is on the move again to the work shed. This is a special shed for yachts that has a cut-off in the roof so that the mast can stay up even though the boat is mostly undercover. She's set down on wooden blocks. Sailboats are not accustomed to the supporting their own weight, so this process is done carefully. CathayOz will only spend 5 days here, where the essential out-of-water work will get done. After that, she's back into water and in the marina to get the rest of the work finished.
It's interesting to take a look at the hull after it has been cleaned. There are still a few barnacles here and there, plus some other growth that didn't come off. This will now be cleaned by hand before the anti-foul goes on.
The Boatworks is a huge complex covering 22 acres. They can handle a whole lot, up to 300 tons. Pretty much as trade that you need is on site. There is also a good-sized chandler, a couple of restaurants, and even a small exotic car and motorbike museum attached to a cafe.
Very quickly, the bottom is cleaned completely and the fiberglass repairs are done. The sail drives, which had a fair amount of growth, are serviced, checked and repainted. The electricians install the new solar panels and the transducer in the bottom of the starboard hull for the forward scan sonar. CathayOz gets another coat of anti-foul and then it's time to go back in the water. This time we have the travel lift style of transporter. The slings are positioned and CathayOz is gently lifted so that she no longer has to feel her own weight on the keels. This travel lift has a scale fitted and the operator confirms that CathayOz is just under 17 tonnes. We have the water and fuel mostly full, so this is probably our cruising weight.
Back down the road, she trundles to the ramp. This time, the captain is asked to go on board during the process, though we never quite understand why. The same care is exercised as she is gently loaded into, until CathayOz again feels the warm waters close around her skin and she's again borne by the sea.
With CathayOz back in the water, we take the time to give ourselves a little maintenance. The Intercontinental Sanctuary Cove is just a 10-minute boat ride away, and we've planned a 4-day stay there. After 6 months on board, it will be interesting to see what sleeping in a bed that doesn't move feels like.
Now, if we can find the dingy dog amongst the super yachts, even the dinghies here are flush, and they have their own fenders. The gardeners are friendly, so that's a good sign. They do a pretty good job of keeping the grounds neat and tidy. It's still COVID time, so the hotel is not exactly booked out.
Sanctuary Cove is a gated community, though the shopping precinct is open to the public. Jackie is ready to enjoy a bit of the cosmopolitan life that she misses a bit on CathayOz. Let's follow her around and see what she gets up to.
4 days are over too quickly, and the concierge gives us a gentle reminder that it's time to leave.
Back at CathayOz, and the bridge hardtop has been put in place with temporary framing so that the stainless steel supports can be measured and made. The cockpit covers are done just in time for some rain. Over the next few weeks, all of the electrical, trimming and framing works are done, and then it's time for us to head back down the coast towards Sydney.
We reposition CathayOz at Marina Mirage to be closer to the exit of Broadwater. We treat ourselves to one more dining-in night before we finally trek out through the seaway and turn right to head down the New South Wales coast. Our new chart plotter gives us all the information we need to get safely to sea. As we cross the invisible state border and the day wears on, I think of the amazing adventure that is behind me in Queensland.
I'm not a fan of this coast. The Tasman Sea is exposed to the full width of the Pacific Ocean here, and there's no reef stopping the waves like there is in Queensland. The swell will always be bigger, and the wind can be anything. Our plan is to do the trip in two-day legs. The first leg will be from the Gold Coast to Coffs Harbour, and then from Coffs Harbour to home in Pittwater.
As the night closes in, I have my first experience of a night passage inside our new covered bridge. It is such a big difference, and I'm very happy. Good morning, Dolphin. How are you?
We get to Coffs Harbour on the following afternoon. After a fitful in and out breeze down the coast, we now get windbound by a strong nor'easter for a few days before we can get on to our second leg.
I like the harbour part of Coffs, and it feels like a fishing village. After a few days of waiting, we are able to get back to sea for the final leg of mine and CathayOz adventure for this year. And there it is. Barry Joey comes into our view, and the last miles toward home are a time of great reflection for me. We've sailed 4,700 nautical miles, and it has been nearly 8 months since we left home. With 4 days to go before Christmas, I'm excited to be with the family again. Hello, we're back home.